welcome in the first episode of Inside ULM Athletics with Interim Athletic Director Scott McDonald. I'm Mike Hammett, your host, and an exciting time at ULM. We are well into the fall sports season at this point. Winter sports, basketball just around the corner, and there's even some fall practices going on for our spring sports. We're going to talk with new softball coach Molly Fichtner coming up here in just a little bit. But first, Scott, I wanted to start with last week. Of course, the big thing around campus was the vote on the fee proposal, and just your reaction to what happened there.
Certainly, Mike, we were disappointed in the results of the vote. We'll do a better job next time of making sure people understand the value proposition on that. But we never built budgets or anything based on that. We hadn't even really talked about it or thought about it since then. We're moving ahead. Our fundraising is hot and heavy right now. Our ticket sales are doing very, very well. We're very pleased. In fact, with basketball season tickets right now, we're going to extend that deadline one more week. We've had such a great reaction to the renewal piece, and then we're going to come out with all of our season ticket packages after these current season ticket holders have had an opportunity to renew.
It's certainly exciting about basketball, too, right now. I know the open practice Sunday. I mean, this is an exciting time around that program in particular.
Oh, it's tremendous. I tell you what, just yesterday, Mike, I went out, had an opportunity to go visit baseball in their practice, walked over to softball, had a chance to watch those young ladies practice yesterday for a few minutes, and then over to football, making it over to basketball. All of our teams are engaged in either practice or games right now. It's a very exciting time on campus and very busy time.
Well, one of the newest people to Monroe, newer than me even, is Molly Fichtner, the new softball coach. She joins us today, and her first head coaching job comes here at ULM. So, first of all, Scott, why Molly? Why does she fit this program and this university?
Great question. I tell you what, you go back and look at Molly as a player and the program she's been associated with as a coach, the vision of being a winner. Okay, understanding what it takes to win, to compete at the highest level, participating in a College World Series. And so she knows what it looks like. She understands what it takes to get there. And what she's been able to accomplish both as a player and as a coach. That's what we want here. She comes in, she interviews. We took her all around campus in one day and just really were impressed with not just a vision, but, how am I going to get there? And the plan that she has, we're really excited about having her here on campus and leading that program.
Well, Coach, welcome aboard and welcome to ULM. First of all, what was it about this job? What excited you about coming to ULM?
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you so much for having me. I am originally from Houston, Texas, so I think ULM is very, very close to home, and that's exciting as far as recruiting-wise. My recruiting base is in the South area, and I think that was the first thing. And then the second thing is when I came on campus, I fell in love with it. I have played in almost every single stadium in the state of Louisiana, Division I softball programs, except for ULM. So that's obviously pretty ironic, but it was great. I fell in love with it. I fell in love with the administration. I think that I would never want to put myself in a position where I don't think I can win. And I know that between the admin, between our softball staff, we have this vision to be successful.
Looking at this program, you've had a chance now to get here and see these girls practice a little bit. What have you seen from this team? What excites you about this team?
Well, it's definitely exciting. We've had some long practices. The girls have been energetic. They're bringing tons of energy. We have a great group of incoming freshmen. We have a very, very experienced senior class as well. So that is very exciting to see. We've got experience. We've got newbies that are just hungry and excited to get going. And their focus level has been really good. We've been pushing them long practices, and they've been staying with it the entire time. So I think if we can just build every single day, we're going to put ourselves in a really good position.
You're in a unique spot. You came in late in the process as far as you're jumping right into fall practice. So you didn't have any of that recruiting or anything for this season. just what's been the challenges of jumping in here where basically everything was set except for your position?
Exactly. So one thing that's very important to me is having relationships with my student athletes. The first week that I was here, it was meeting. I wanted to meet with academic advisors. I have met with every single softball student athlete already one-on-one just to get to know them personally and figure out who they are. And, of course, jumping right into fundamentals, which is always exciting. But I think it's just getting to know everybody on an individual basis, understanding the school, how everything operates, and then going from there.
Certainly exciting to get things rolling here. What's your vision for this program? What do you want to see this program get to?
Well, I mean, obviously, first of all, I want to grow these student athletes personally and professionally. I want when they leave here, my goal is for them to have a diploma in one hand and a championship ring in the other. And I'm going to do everything in my power to make sure that happens. As hard as they're going to work, I've told them, I promise I'm going to work harder for you to put them in that position. So if we can just get better every single day and raise the standard, eventually we are going to be very, very, very successful.
We've got Molly Fichtner, softball coach, with us here on the first edition of Inside ULM Athletics with Athletic Director Scott McDonald. And right now I think it's exciting about this softball program to have something new. It always breeds optimism anyway. What's this team going to look like? What on the field, if somebody comes to a game, what can we expect to see? Is this a bunting, base running speed, or is this a power hitting team? What do you want to see eventually out of this program?
Well, first and foremost, I want it to be exciting. I want when fans come there, it is exciting to watch ULM softball. We are going to bring energy. We are going to work. We're going to run from position to position, base to base as hard as we can. And on top of that, we want to make sure that when people watch us play, they can say, that team works. That team goes to work. As far as the lineup, we're going to have a very balanced lineup. We are going to have some power hitters. We are going to have some speed. I think you need a little bit of everything. If you're just home run mindset, what happens when you can't hit the home run? You got to figure out a way to score. So we're going to be very, very balanced in the lineup. And we do have speed. We do have power. We have all of that. So that's obviously a very, very positive aspect for us.
I know one thing that stands out when I've heard you talk with Nick White a week ago, you talked about your background. You transferred in the middle of your collegiate career to go from UTSA to Alabama with the focus on getting into coaching. What went into that decision and how beneficial was that for you?
Best decision of my life, besides this recent job opportunity, of course. But I actually, after my sophomore year of college, my parents and my older sister sat me down, and I was watching the World Series. They knew I wanted to coach. I've always been very, very passionate about softball. And we were watching, and I was learning and trying to figure out why coaches did certain things. And they said, Molly, do you want to play on one of these teams? And I kind of looked at them like, okay, yeah, but that'd be great, but it's not going to happen. And they said, no, my parents said, we will postpone retirement. We will get you, we will pay whatever you need. We'll get you there if that's what you want. So obviously my parents are very, very important to me, very selfless. And so I made the decision to walk away from a full ride to just go learn. And Alabama was my number one choice. And I called Coach Murphy. He ended up calling me back. And I walked on to University of Alabama. And when I tell you every meeting, I was writing notes. Every meeting I was writing notes. I don't think there's anybody better you can learn from that coaching staff. They do things right on and off the field. And to have the experience of staying on staff after I graduated, to be the volunteer assistant and seeing behind in the office work, that type of, it was unbelievable. And it was an experience that you can't even put a price tag on.
Scott, I mean, for that background, just how impressive is it to have somebody who made those types of decisions and have her on board here at ULM? And
it comes across, Mike, I've always said, Custer had a plan. It's, can you execute on that plan? And what we became convinced of very quickly is, Molly has a plan, but she also understands how to execute that plan. She's seen it executed. She's lived it, right? And so, executing that plan is about, your will and your commitment to it and understanding and having confidence in it. And that was one of the things that really stood out. So there's no question in my mind She has a plan. It's very meticulous, and she can go through it with you in great detail. And it's not something just on paper. It's up here in her mind and in her vision, and she can articulate that extremely well. And I encourage everybody to engage her and ask her about, how are you going to execute this plan? Because she can lay it out for you. She even knows if there's a rain delay, who's going to do what and when and how. And that's important, and it's people have to understand it's about establishing culture. And she understands the culture that needs to be established to reach these goals that she set for herself and this team.
It's exciting. And to go through this process too, Scott, I know this is one of your first opportunities to be a part of this as the athletic director in that position anyway. Just what did you learn from this process and kind of sorting through candidates and getting to find the person you want in this position?
Well, actually, Mike, I've been involved in several search committees. I've chaired several search committees, both football, athletic director, even been on the search committee for university president. And so that experience, I came to it understanding what resumes, say and don't say, and what interviews can tell you and not tell you. And I think for me, understanding that when she turns her plan around, and it's all written, but she doesn't have to look at it to articulate how I'm going to approach this, and the attitude and the passion that comes forward. You want to work and be around people with passion. And, the Eagles famously say, any kind of love without passion is no kind of loving at all. Well, that's the way I feel about it. If you don't love being here, if you don't love what you do, if you don't have a passion for it, then you really don't love it. And that comes across very clearly.
And Molly, going back to you, as you get set here, you've already had some practices this fall. What's the rest of this fall schedule look like, and what do you want to accomplish during the rest of the fall?
Yep, so we actually start our first doubleheader on Sunday against Bossier Parish Community College, doubleheader at 1 o'clock and 3 o'clock. And I think it's just the learning. We still have to learn. We have a lot to do. We've talked a lot. Now we need to put it in action. We're learning this game. We're learning what it looks like on and off the field to be a good person and to make sure people know when they meet a ULM softball player what that means. So there's tons of learning, like I said. Hopefully by the end of the fall, everything will be in action at that point. Going into Christmas break, and then when they come back in January, we'll hit it hard again. Long practices, mental toughness, things like that, and then get ready for our first games.
And, Mike, I think it's important, too, to understand that with softball, the commitment that the university is making, there's a 3-year or 3-year phased-in plan that we're beginning year one in as we continue to look at those facilities and upgrade them. There's a financial commitment there we're making to this program. They deserve it. They've earned it. And we're going to continue. We want to do everything we can to accelerate that program. So we need everybody to come in, get engaged, participate, and we're going to accelerate that plan as fast as we can. I'd love to have that plan finished completely in less than 3 years.
Well, for those who aren't aware, kind of what is involved in that plan anyway?
It's about dressing rooms. It's about players' lounges. So we want to focus on the student-athlete. Then the surface itself, we've built new bullpens. We have a new 4-bay hitting tunnel going in that's going to be covered. There's a range of things. We just padded walls to, if you will, for the fence for player safety. So a number of things that we're looking at to upgrade and continue to upgrade, both the playing surface, where they dress, where they want to hang out, where they want to study, those sorts of things that we're doing to try to upgrade these facilities to help Molly and the staff recruit the very best players and do the things they want to get accomplished on the field.
Molly, just how important is that to have that be a part of the program and build it? Because this conference, it's possible to reach the heights of college softball. How much does that help you try to shoot for those goals?
Well, it's huge. It's huge because, first of all, administration cares. Right? This university cares about softball, and that's very, very important. And I think when recruits see that, they're going to want to play that much more for that program. So it's a huge recruiting tool, but it's also wonderful for us and our student athletes. Being able to show them, look, you're going to earn it if you work for it. Right? If you're not going to work for it, you're not going to get it. But you work for it, and you'll earn it, and it'll be given to you. And I appreciate that more than anybody knows, that administration has been so just welcoming and accepting of our future upgrades to the program.
Molly Fichtner, softball coach with us. And Scott, as we wrap things up, I want to remind people football's on the road again this week and next week, but then they come home. It's homecoming October 20th against Texas State. Of course, tickets are available, but at ULM, I mean, you've been around for a lot of these. What makes homecoming special at ULM?
Well, obviously, you get people back that maybe if they're going to choose one game that they're going to come back to, it's going to be the homecoming game so they can see the friends and classmates. And there's a whole range of activities we'll be communicating over the next couple of weeks about homecoming that weekend and even before that weekend to try to encourage people to come back and be a part of this university. And I want to encourage people to, both locally and folks who are listening that haven't been back in a few years. This university campus continues to change. I think it's one of the most beautiful campuses in the world. I know I'm biased, but I'm just telling anybody that comes and look at this campus and doesn't understand how beautiful and how fortunate we are with this bayou and the grounds and the care that's taken with these facilities needs to come back and take a look at it. We need for you to come back. The Troy football game, the last home football game, we had more than 21,000 tickets out. We were expecting a huge crowd that night. Obviously, weather had a huge impact on the attendance that night. So we want to see that again as we get ready for homecoming. We're going to go football-wise this weekend to Oxford, Mississippi, and take on SEC opponent Ole Miss. There's no backup in our guys. There's no backup in our staff. They're going to go in there. They're expecting to win this football game Saturday. So we'll see what happens. But a lot of great things going on, with cross country, volleyball, soccer, all the other teams practicing. This is a really exciting time and good time to come in and watch practice and even view a game later.
Absolutely. That's going to wrap up our first edition of Inside ULM Athletics with Scott McDonald. I want to thank Molly Fichtner, again, head softball coach, for joining us. Join us again next time for Inside ULM Athletics with Interim Athletic Director Scott McDonald.